welcome to Poetry of the Mother Lode. And we're launching this. This is our first event of its kind. And we're hoping that it will happen every year in sometime in April. Next year, our hope is that we'll be meeting in person. But today, we get to see each other on Zoom. Oops, there's someone else to come in. I am so sorry to have to do several things at one time here. Okay. So our plan for this afternoon is that we would have our Calaveras Poet Laureate with us, but his wife is in the hospital and he may or may not. Lila is okay. Margaret had surgery and she'll be fine.
Oh, good, because I just talked to her and she didn't tell me that, so thank you.
Yes, more details to come, but she's okay. But
oh, thank you.
Had surgery. So he may come near the end of our program. So we'll just pop him in when he gets here. We'll be having Manzanita Writers Press poets read their work. And then we have, which includes myself, Kevin Arnold, Monica. And then we have Poetry Out Loud representative here with us, Ian McNann from Amador County. I know he tried to round up other high schoolers, but you know what? This is a very hard time of the year. And so I reached out to Poetry Out Loud in Calaveras County, but I think it's tough. So Ian, thank you for representing everyone.
Of course, it's good to be here.
And then we have poets that are part of our local Calaveras Voices of Wisdom and others are going to read. And then we have public participants too, because I know Peter would like to read, and there's Charles and Kathy there. And so we have people coming in, and we'll just get started, and I'll admit them as we go. Monica, did you want to give any remarks before we get started?
I just want to thank people who support our local authors and writers. It's so important, and I do thank you very much for all your support, and hope to see you all in the future with future events, because we'll be putting on all kinds of things. Lots of authors. We have about 10 new books coming out this coming year. Quite a bit of a load for us. We normally average about 3 books a year, and we're excited about that. So do think of us as a small publishing nonprofit press that might fit your needs at some point in the future. So I just wanted to put a plug in. Thanks.
Okay. Hello. Hi, Clive. We have people coming in. So we're going to get started with our reading. I think rather than trying to introduce everybody, because people are coming in, that we'll just go ahead with the reading. And when it's your turn to read, then please you say your name and a little bit about you. We're planning on 1 poem each, but we could have around 2 if we have enough time. So, all right. I would like to start, and let me share something with you. Share my screen here. Don't want to share my mailbox. No. Okay. I was thinking about meeting today, and I was so excited about the fact that all of us here love poetry. I'm going to enlarge this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Can I make it a little larger for you, Monica?
Yes.
Larger, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Better.
I was thinking about Ars Poetica and how I've enjoyed lately reading poets writing about writing poetry. So I'd like to share a few with you. If you'd like to have copies of these, just email me and I'll be glad to send them to you. So, The Poem That Took the Place of a Mountain by Wallace Stevens. There it was, word for word, the poem that took the place of a mountain. He breathed his oxygen even when the book lay turned in the dust of his table. It reminded him how he had needed a place to go in his own direction, how he had recomposed the pines, shifted the rocks, and picked his way among clouds. for the outlook that would be right, where he would be complete in an unexplained completion. The exact rock where his inexactnesses would discover at last the view toward which they had edged, where he could lie and gazing down at the sea, recognize his unique and solitary home. But, yeah, we won't pick that apart. And I noticed inexactness S has a red line under it, which means there's, it's not spelled right. Maybe it's
No,
not.
it just means word doesn't know the word. That's all it
Doesn't
means.
know the word. But
Poetic license.
he has poetic license. Ocean Vuong has a new book out called, let me hold it up here. Time is a Mother. And he's been out and about. We've probably heard him in interviews and stuff because his collection has come out. And so this is called Essay on Craft. Because the butterfly's yellow wing flickering in black mud was a word stranded by its language. Because no one else was coming, and I ran out of reasons, so I gathered fistful of ash, dark as ink, hammered them into marrow, into a skull thick enough to keep the gentle curse of dreams. Yes, I aimed for mercy, but came only close as building a cage around the heart. Shutters over the eyes, yes, I gave it hands despite knowing that to stretch that clay slab into 5 blades of light, I would go too far. Because I too needed a place to hold me. So I dipped my fingers back into the fire, pried open the lower face until the wound widened into a throat, until every leaf shook silver with that god-awful scream, and I was done, and it was human. Wow. He's a wonderful poet. That's all I can say there. And then this is an older Ars Poetica by Archibald MacLeish. And so I'd like you to hear this one as well. A poem should be palpable and mute as a globed fruit, dumb as old medallions to the thumb, silent as the sleeve-worn stone of casement ledges where the moss has grown. A poem should be wordless as flight spurs. A poem should be motionless in time as the moon climbs, leaving as the moon releases twig by twig the night-entangled trees, leaving as the moon behind the winter leaves, memory by memory, the mind. A poem should be motionless in time as the moon climbs. A poem should be equal to, not true. For all the history of grief, an empty doorway and a maple leaf. For love, the leaning grasses and the 2 lights above the sea. A poem should not mean, but be. So, just to inspire us for today. And I would give some tips out as we're going along. When someone's reading, let's all mute ourselves. And then if we have time, we can also ask people to explain a little bit. If you have questions about someone's poem, it'd be great to put those in the chat. Also, down below for reactions, reacting to someone's poem, use those because we can clap or put a heart or something like that. Okay, I'd like to go backwards. Monica, I would like to start with you. Is that all right? And I'll go last.
Okay,
Since I've been talking.
that sounds good. All right. Well, I'll start with just a medley of things here. I read this for Linda the other day. It's from a book called Yosemite Poets that published this little short ditty. I had some fun with this. Variations on a skipping stone. I found a perfect skipping stone and waited for a perfect time. I found a perfect skipping stone and wind convinced me otherwise. I found a faulty skipping stone and it skipped me countless times. I found a perfect skipping stone and threw it perfectly wrong. I never found a skipping stone that yearned for water. Had a little fun with that one. celebrating the Mother Lode. I picked out a few newer poems. This one was published in a collection of Amador and Calaveras poetry. It's called In Store. We were to take an artist's photograph and then write a poem to it. This was I don't know if you can see this. This is a photo of Jan Alcalde's photo titled The Pantry. I'm shaking a little bit. It's waving in the wind. But if you can see that, it's cows in the pasture with some acorns in the tree. This is called In Store. Everything hinges on perhaps offering food for thought about what may lie in store, giving some, gathering enough, wanting more. Somewhere between drought and glut, desire springs as barbed wire stitches a pastoral scene. The communal acorn woodpecker senses bad weather with a pecking frenzy 3 days before a storm. Then stuffs a familial cedar post with fall acorns for the clan and fills a granary with winter bounty. Clouds graze the sky, then crowd in with their marshmallow ways, turning gray, watching the scramble below. Cows chew on their fate in thin pasture, consider the other side behind the wire, long for leaves beyond tongue, while a woodpecker rests its head. I've been writing quite a bit about spring, and I'll share this one with you. This is called New Green. Spring bursts, purple lupins wave on the side of the road, bright lime green oak leaves burn joy into the brain. Round-shouldered hills roll out green rugs. The dove coo in the oak, not the coax of mourning, but the sound of yearning youth, calling lost loves. But earnest, throaty urging, pushing me to creak out of a chair to the window. All right, I hear you. A succession of chastising slaps the air, as if to ask, why are you still inside your cell, hunched over a black box, when it's lovely out here in the green? You are wasting time. The warbler chides rightly. Gray cloud mounds shade the sunlight inside dims. The bird flees and quiet reigns. Had a little fun with this one, very similar kind of piece about spring called Leaving. New green fingers so soon, when old brown appendages still cling to their twigs in spring. The oak confused with comings and goings. That's what it is. The sound of the wind rustling leaves, and a word for it. Cithurism. Mixing a quiet sigh, PSI, unit of pressure, pound per square inch, and thur, THUR, a perfumed exhalation of incense rising to heaven. The parts sound nice alone. Pressured scent of ceremony meets forceful push into ether, but together the sounds jar. In collective cacophony, Cithurism, a tour gone wrong. Not a pretty word for the hushing sound of the oak whispering goodbye to its parts. And I'm going to do a funny one. Linda, I don't know how much time you want to give me here. I'll just do one more, I think, and I can read more later, I guess. This was, you all remember your high school math classes, perhaps? I had one where we used to wonder when the teacher would, bend down to pick up his pencil, and all the girls would kind of push their dresses down over their knees. You know, that was one memory, but I had countless memories of math, being one of the few girls in the class. This is called geometry microcosm. Geometry has its angles sitting squarely in Mr. Flynn's classroom in a corner. A Boston tweed jacket arm bends at a 90-degree pitch. Leather elbow pad poised for magic. "Houston, we've got a problem," he croaks. Flynn erases the old theorem with his right elbow just as he chalks in the new formula with his right hand in one magical Pythagorean movement. "Pay attention, kid." Flynn blasts a whirling chalk projectile like a flicked cigarette and beans a student on the nose. "Look alive," Flynn cracks, flashes a straight-line grin. A barrage of chalk nubs radiate out like missiles launched in succession. "I'm feeling a little negative." Flynn paces near someone in the front row, and she erases so hard that holes form in her grid and errors scatter crumbs on the desk. "I like my pencil needle sharp, in lengthening Euclidean shadow days, enough to stab someone if they get too mean, which never happens, so I never do. I love big numbers," Flynn croons, turning the compass. I fix the protractor torso on one point or another, wheel the leg around, and spin imprecise concentric notions. So I think I'll stop there.
Thank you, Monica. It feels really weird
But I did,
kind of
yes.
applaud you, but we are.
Uh,
And, oops. There we go.
I'll save my really growing old pain poem for the last. It called Ow. That's later.
You might all understand that. And
A little teaser.
yeah, welcome. Conrad Levasseur has just come in, and
Oh, good.
I'll have Kevin go next, and then I'll have Conrad go, and then I'll go after that. And I want to tell you that close to 3 o'clock, or before, we'll take a 5-minute break. Of course, you can take a break whenever you want, but we'll take a 5-minute break because it's a while to sit at the computer. We've been doing it a lot. So we'll have a musical interlude after these first readings. So let me introduce Conrad Levasseur, Calaveras County's Poet Laureate. And I explained, Conrad, that you had kind of an emergency the other day, and his wife, Margaret, fell and fractured her hip and had to have surgery. And so he's been racing around like a chicken, no?
Yes.
Trying to get everything taken care of. So, Conrad, now that you're able to join us, I just wanted to say that Conrad's the first Poet Laureate for Calaveras County, and we appreciate the fact that he stepped up. And then as soon as he stepped up, COVID happened, and it made it very hard to do that job. But I mentioned to him the other day that when his term is up, which is this end of spring, he will be emeritus, and it will not be over. He'll still be called upon and to be at events and to share his poetry. Manzanita Writers Press is going to be publishing his collection sometime in the fall. So, Conrad, please share some of your poems with us.
Okay, I'm going to put the timer on, which, of course, like things happen not the way you expect them to. I was going to be really organized, time every piece, and have it all within 15 minutes. And then, as Linda said, 8 o'clock Thursday morning, my wife, doing the very exercises that would help her not to fall at the very last thing of it, lost her balance, fell, fractured her hip, and it was been a roller coaster since then. So I literally raced over from the Sonora Hospital. I didn't know I'd even be able to get out of there, but things suddenly leveled out at the last minute. And so I just came in the door threw some things together, kind of propped up some books on the bed, and thank goodness I managed to get in and make the connection. And so, of course, I just grabbed my poetry books. I'm going to, in being, I thought would be totally organized. Of course, I'm not quite as organized as I would like it to be, but I had quickly jotted down some things and let me start out. So my poetry basically has emerged from the ground up with whatever situation that I've been in. I have published 7 books of poetry, and it's a cross section between, I was an international travel guide, taking groups all over the world. So coming from that, very much interested in all the wildlife in Africa, to the other extreme, being a single parent for several years before I met my Margaret. We've been together over 40 years. And I equated that as being dropped naked in the jungle with no supplies or provision, literally entering no man's land. And a book of poetry came out of that most challenging experience. All the other adventure stuff was but a preparation for me to be able to deal with that particular challenge, living in the Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco at that particular time. We wound up moving up to the mountains, so a lot of things
I can't figure out
of that.
Figure it out.
Voice is talking.
So somebody's trying to get on, I know. So I'm going to just jump right in. I was affected by everything from the most sophisticated cultures to tribal culture. So I just grabbed the book randomly here, and I'll start off with a thing I wrote in the tribal. In what we would call primitive, mask, dance, myth, the power of nature passed on and understood from person to person for centuries. Go back only to understand the essence of the power of the mother, of the womb out of which we came. Return to 20th century. Create new masks, dances, myths, tribes, with guidance, with help from what we found. Knowing it's not ours, it's not to be held onto. Knowing we're free only when we pass it on. So I was deeply affected by tribal cultures and whatever I thought the word, when I heard the word primitive, which usually meant backward, not developed, of course, to me was the exact opposite. For those tribal cultures that were basically not really their roots in wisdom, literature, and history, taken away by either levels of imperialism, colonialism, which is just a part of the big history. They were highly sophisticated. Tribal leaders that I would come in contact with were anything but they carried a lot of wisdom with them, and also so that was an element that affected me very deeply in my travels. Let's see. Sorry that.
Read your poem, Conrad.
So another one, just kind of whipping back to another thing. When my sons were growing up, we were in the mountains. Of course, it was an incredible place to be, growing up in for them.
I don't know.
And they were both really outstanding athletes. But at one point in their life, probably early high school, they said they didn't really like poetry. So I had written back then this, it was called bawling poetry. And I said, my sons say they don't like poetry. They don't yet realize that they are 2 living poems. Iran down at the shed shooting baskets, the summer dust whirling around him like desert dervish clouds, the winter mud slick and slippery like a seal as he dribbles, fakes, drives, and shoots with either hand, dancing with the orange rim, sending the starry ball, perfectly arced, time and again, spinning through the air, dropping easily into the center of the net. Swish. In the corral, on the grassy ground, on the frozen ground, on the ground that buckles up into waves of mud, darting, dashing, skating, cutting fast, spinning around as the football spirals towards him, stretching his body-mind edge beyond known limits, orbiting reaching out arms and legs without concern for a safe landing as he snatches the plump leather flying pig from nowhere, bringing it back with him from the heavens to touch down. And then he got my over here. Jump right into the next one. What? Oh, it fell on the floor. So the next one, I had read again coming out of my experiences in Africa. I really took groups all over Africa, and very much deeply affected. Had a lot of close encounters with the animals here. So I'll just jump in it. This was called kachinas, and of course we know in terms of the environment and the challenges we're facing with that, with species disappearing more and more rapidly. So this came out of wildlife safaris I had led in Kenya, Tanzania, and East Africa. So kachinas, Serengeti plains sparkled in the dew dripping rhinoceros horn. I should warn, kachinas tickle giraffes' bellies. You can see it in their eyes, the way their lashes flash back Nikon pictures to Bushman cave paintings unphotographically hidden in some lost Kalahari cave. There is something in this wild, open space, the solitary hut, the solitary woman with child walking out of nowhere, the solitary tribesman sitting under acacia tree, leaning on spear with nothing but bare earth for miles, contentedly, subtly smiling ivory tusked teeth. There is something in this East African explosively alive, extinct crater, roaringly silent rift wall, dry, dusty, barren gorge where one man was born that overflows the mind with ancient animal images struggling against a holocaust of eternal extinction. A baboon bites my ass. I eat a leopard's tail and get its claws stuck in my digestive tract. A horny lion remembers himself and sits regally like a king. Elephants charge my table of contents. I charge a delirious dik-dik and try to grab a warthog on its high-held holy tail. Our skins can no longer be for sale. We must buy the post office and send animals through the mail. I am such a beast. I would love to feast upon myself, my crazy kicking wildebeest nature, my quick burst hairy cheetah legs, my soft antelope belly, deliciously, ecstatically torn apart by sharp cat's teeth. I am as mad as a hyena hysterically laughing bloodthirsty thunder in the bloodthirsty hunger in the silky black night, as awkwardly delicate as a flamingo doing its soft pink toe dance by water's edge. Cape buffalo, beefy back muscle, hackle my crested cranium. All the fine, feathery, rainbow exotic birds drop on me, inspirationally enlightening, heavily turds. Should we murder the animal in ourselves, or might it be better to love it and hang ourselves as trophies before we mount each other and ride off into the sunset?
Oh, wow, Conrad. I've heard that before, and I still think you've done some amazing metaphorical jumps there. So powerful. And I'm going to close you there.
Okay.
All right. And thank you very much for your reading. I appreciate it.
I'm just happy to be able to have made it, to be here with all. Look forward to hearing what everybody else has to put out there.
Okay. Kevin Arnold, where are you, Kevin? Oh, you'll have to unmute yourself, Kev. Oh, there we go.
Hi, I'm Kevin Arnold, and while I'm still from the Bay Area, my kind of home away from home has been up in Calaveras for a very long time. Kathy, Isaac Luke, and her husband Charles are here. They helped run the Poetry Center in San Jose like 20 years ago. I was supposedly the president of it, but it was really Kathy who ran it, I think. And then Monica and Linda, I really appreciate what you've done here this morning, getting this all going. This is great, or this afternoon. I'm a close friend of Antoinette Mays, and we helped start the Gold Rush Writers together many years ago, and we've got that going again. So I'm feeling good about that. So I get up to Calaveras quite a bit. I've got 6 poems this morning, and they're all about Alzheimer's one way or another. I've just recently lost my wife to Alzheimer's within the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I wanted to read these poems. The first 2 poems I wrote, and I'm also a novelist, so I find that the easiest way for me to write about myself is to not write about myself. So the first 2 poems, I kind of made another character who had this problems with Alzheimer's. The first one is How She Left Him, and instead of being me, it's a plein air artist whose wife has Alzheimer's. He so loved the natural world that he joined others who had come to art late in life to patiently paint the nature al fresco. When his wife started having memory problems, he tried to take it in stride. She would be fine while he painted, but things progressed and he spent more time on doctor's visits and panic attacks, pills and paperwork, every aspect of her life. For the last years of her life, the plein air artist stayed inside with her. When he rejoined his friends in the open air, he tried to explain how he'd lived for the few moments she seemed her old self, and how she left him before she left him. And the other, this second poem that isn't quite, I'm not writing about myself yet, and my situation goes way back to the start of Alzheimer's. And Alzheimer's was first written up by Alois Alzheimer, and he found a woman named Augusta Dieter and her husband Carl, and this tells their story. For Augusta and Carl Dieter, we remember little of Augusta Dieter, who in her late 40s would drag sheets across her house and scream for hours in the middle of the night. Nor do we share memories of her care partner, her husband Carl, a railway worker who gave up and sent her in 1901 to the Castle of Insanity in Frankfurt, Germany. The one remember is the doctor she met there who asked, "Where are you right now?" and recorded her reply, "Here and everywhere, here and now. You must not think badly of me." On her death, he examined her brain. Using a new chemical, he discovered twisted fibers, nerve tangles. We remember Alois Alzheimer. So then the last 4 poems are really more about my own personal experience with my wife, whom I married in middle life. She was a wonderful horsewoman, one of the better horsewomen in Northern California, and we had a lot of fun riding horses and riding to hounds and having really a good time. The first one's called The Move to Memory Care. Carol had said many times if she got Alzheimer's, when it's time, put her out on a farm like her parents, who both died of the disease. The people from the facility and I had set everything up. As agreed, I'd told Carol she was going to lunch. With my son Scotty, I drove an hour from the Bay Area. On the way down, Carol asked him 7 times how he was doing. In the back seat with her, Scotty, bless him, found new answers every time. Set up in the middle of an apple orchard, the facility was bucolic. We'd set up her room with a new bed and TV and family and horse pictures on the walls. They'd even put her name on the door, which confused her. She turned to me. I told her it would be okay. Attendants shooed my son and me away and guided Carol to lunch. The second one comes from the period when she was still quite mobile, and I was taking her out on trips all the time in the car. The milkshake guy. Familiar with my wife's frailness, he almost lifts her from the car, seats us in his busy luncheonette, and asks if we want the usual milkshakes. Often chocolate, always with a cherry, but this day I offer alternatives. When she hears strawberries, she nods and smiles. He serves us and all too soon helps her out of her chair. With the milkshake guy on one side and me on the other, she bravely hobbles back to the car. I probably shouldn't call him the milkshake guy. He's more than that. He's big, 6'3", 200 pounds, with a halting, smiling kindness to him. How can I thank him for the reprieve he's granted us? A few minutes from the care home down the street, a few last moments on a date. Then this one's called Psalm 23, which ended up to be, toward the end, she lost most of her language capabilities. She really couldn't finish a sentence. And so our conversations were kind of one way, and it ended up that reading her the 23rd Psalm was just a wonderful kind of balm and a kind of part of our love language. And so I wrote a poem about that. Psalm 23. When it's close to time to leave, I offer to read it again. I've just fed my wife a chocolate. She's surprisingly enthusiastic. She perks up at, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." She loves to hear about lying down in green pastures and being led beside still waters. The familiarity of having her soul restored and being led in the paths of righteousness brings a smile to her thin lips. She looks resigned during the trying trip through the valley of the shadow of death, where she fears no evil as the rod and staff comfort her. She is in another world. I modify where a table is prepared for her. I skip the part about enemies because I can't imagine her having any. She seems to love that a table is prepared for her and that her cup runneth over. As I finish telling her that goodness and mercy shall follow her all of the days of her life, she seems completely relaxed. I motion to the aide that it's time to roll her into the dining room. The woman says my wife gets fuzzy after lunch, that I should feed her a few less chocolates, and I quickly concur. As the aide rolls her into the residents-only dining room, she is smiling as I leave. With help from King David and King James, I've left her refreshed. And the last poem is called Elegy for Carol, and I've just written it within the last couple of weeks. I actually read it mainly in preparation for her memorial, which we had about 2 weeks ago. So it's Elegy for Carol. A 2.5-inch acorn can become a 100-foot oak. Imagine a tree that can live 300 years. Now that's confidence. Infant birds are almost as helpless as humans, and as human babies until they can fly. When fledglings gain that competence, their mother helps them out of the nest. People with Alzheimer's lose competency. Their brains become unreliable. One telltale sign is when she repeats a tale, when someone repeats a tale they've just told. I'm going to reread that stanza. People with Alzheimer's lose competency. Their brains become unreliable. One telltale sign is when someone repeats a tale they've just told. The brains of people who have Alzheimer's are often likened to Swiss cheese. Intermittent areas of knowledge seem to just disappear. Alzheimer's is often referred to as tragic, like when a life-saving surgeon loses competence to bring her fork to her mouth. But there's a more positive side of the disease I've learned from helping my remarkable wife, who dealt so gracefully with dementia. 6 years ago, in her home of 40 years, she couldn't find her own bedroom. She told me if it ever happened, just put me out on a farm. We found Daewin and Moore on an apple farm a little more than an hour away over the hill in Corlitos. With hospice, they took care of her beautifully. She lost all her competencies from horse trials to hostessing. God challenged her to continue as she had, gracefully, always thinking of others first. When hospice called me to say her time had come, I asked them if her personality had changed. They said no. She'd thanked the nurses 3 times. So thank you very much for this time, and thanks again to Linda and Monica for putting this on.
Thank you, Kevin. I've been reading through your book, and I could see by looking at people's faces, this is, one of the things we can do with poetry is care about hard things and work through hard things. That's what poetry allows us to do. So thank you for sharing that hard part of your journey with Carol. I feel like I know her a little bit now.
Great, thank you.
Okay, that kind of made me almost weepy. Sorry. Oops, Lila's crying. I'm going to go ahead and my share. What I want to do is I want Ian to share next, and then I'll share. I'm going to go out of order here. Ian McMahon is the Poetry Out Loud winner from Amador County. And Ian, here you are in the paper again.
Yep, that's me in the middle there.
Yeah, the paper came yesterday, and there he is again. Stellar performances, bravo. So tell us a little bit about that.
About Poetry Out Loud or about the paper?
The paper, and then we'll go to Poetry Out Loud.
So we recently just had our annual, it's actually the 50th, Mother Lode Drama Festival at Amador High School. And so I don't know how many of you might know the venerable, the legendary Giles Turner, but he's the one who always helps us put everything on. And it was a really great performance, a really great festival, especially after having 2 years of nothing in person. Just, especially going to school. It's been odd, but I'm glad we got to be back this year. We got to have a couple schools come. We had schools from Galt, from Trinity County up in Northern California, and a couple more I'm forgetting, but not as many as we'd usually have, but it was good to have them there. And I did very well. I didn't expect to get as far as I did, but I love acting. I love poetry. That's why I'm here. I like performing. So it was great.
Yeah. Ian, I'm not surprised at all that you did as well as you did.
Thank you.
I want to mention before we go on to Poetry Out Loud is that Poetry Out Loud was started by the poet Dana Goya and the Poetry Foundation, along with the National Endowment for the Arts and the Calaveras Arts Council. So it's been going on for quite a while, and it's fabulous. I've been able to be a judge for Poetry Out Loud, and you guys have inspired me. I've been going around reciting poems in Amador County at the elementary schools, and that's because of people like you, Ian. So let me just tell people a little bit about Poetry Out Loud, and then he's going to share one of his winning poems that he recited.
Sure. So I first learned about Poetry Out Loud my sophomore year. Sorry, am I good? Okay. My sophomore year. And Mr. Turner helped us all in our drama class pick poems out. And anybody in the high school can do it. It doesn't have to be. There's also, I think, competitions for younger kids too. But it's just something I've always looked forward to every year. So they have a whole anthology online that you get to choose 2 selections from. And they've got just so many great poets. And so for me, it's more than just, it's really interesting getting to just learn so much about so many, like such a diverse group of poets. I've read poetry by people I never even thought I would, or about perspectives I never thought I would. And besides even diving into it, just getting to go out and perform it and recite it, it really makes, because a lot of kids my age, those who may be in the arts, but mostly those who aren't, think of poetry as just being kind of a boring study. Like they might think of, like an old Shakespeare sonnet or something in English class they don't feel like reading. But when you get to go out and perform it for people and with other kids your age, it's what poetry is. It's a performance. It's a living piece of art. It's not just words on a page. And so it's great to do that. But without further ado, I would like to recite one of the poems that I recited this year. And so here we go. I hope everybody can hear me well enough. This is To Luck by W.S. Merwin. In the cards and at the bend in the road, we never saw you. In the womb and in the crossfire, in the numbers. Whatever you had your hand in, which was everything, we were told never to put our faith in you, to bow to you humbly, after all, because in the end, there was nothing else we could do but not to believe in you. Still, we might coax you with pebbles kept warm in the hand, or coins, or the relics of vanished animals, observances, rituals, not binding upon you who make no promises. We might do such things only not to neglect you and risk your disfavor. Oh, you who are never the same, who are secret as the day when it comes. You whom we explain as often as we can without understanding. And so I like that selection a lot. That was one of my favorites, along with, so that's fun. But that's what I did. I can talk more about stuff if you want me to. I don't want to take up a bunch of time. I know we're approaching our break period here.
Well, Ian, tell me, I just have been so inspired by you and your work. And of course, you have this drama background, which adds to the performance of a poem for sure. Where do you see yourself going with poetry in the future?
Me personally, I like to write poems as well as recite them. And for me, as I go to college, I'm a senior at Amador High School in Sutter Creek. As I go to college this fall, I want to continue to involve myself in poetry and the arts, especially since I'm not going to study performing arts, although I really like to, but I'm lucky that the college I'm going to has a lot of space for students that aren't necessarily majoring in a performing art to be a part of the arts scene and their programs. And so joining things like clubs, I definitely want to find more people to share and write poetry with. It would be really cool eventually, maybe. And I know we have some published authors here with us to publish my own book of poetry, but you got to write a lot of poems and I'm not there yet, but we'll see. But it is a lot of fun.
You know what, Ian? You set that goal for yourself and you'll meet it one day without question. I think we could all agree with that. And so thank you for sharing, and we'll keep in touch. I want to know what's happening with you.
I will. I'll have to keep you updated. I do have an original poem if we have time.
Oh, go ahead right now. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So quick little introduction. I wrote this poem as I drove down to Los Angeles earlier this year to see one of the schools that I applied to know if it was to see relatives, but that's also something I did. And I wrote this poem as we were driving back from LA. So here it goes. It's called Hills. Wide, girthy masses, mounds. Guide me home again, far away from you. I've overstayed my welcome, it seems. Without reason, you dip and dirge down, diving. If you weren't covered in shrubs, I'd think you a movie set. I don't know why so many of this nation's best must rest in the city of angels, but they love the hills. I asked God to take me where I needed to be, to test me. I have to prove myself. When do I stop traipsing the land? My family lives here, my blood, my unsolicited connection to such a place. They left for greener grass and cheaper penance. I don't blame those that go or those that stay, but I hope those that die are given privilege in the city of angels. There are those that fly and those that flock, and some dragged behind, keel-hauled. I think Cabrillo might approve. There is a cosmic irony in the city, called after seraphs in the name of suffering, sweat, sweet release of conversion or concession of sin. And God welcome the industry, the marketable debauchery, boarding houses and board houses of moviegoers, the quick silver screen. God welcome the vacuum salesman and the hamburger stand, the subdivision and the subdivision of people. We live on the hill, you know. You live in the valley. We, Moses, keep the commandments where you'll never find them. We angels, you sinners. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, everybody, I think we should, what was I thinking? Is there hope for poetry in the future with people like Ian? Yes. Thank you so much, Ian. Yeah. We're going to take our break now. I'll come back after the break, and then we're going to start our public readings. So those of you, we're going to take 5 minutes. I'm going to put a song that's I heard recently, I used in my radio program about poets. And when we come back, then those of you who've signed up and are here to do readings, we look forward to hearing your poems and sharing your work with us. So thank you so far. Oh, Monica, you said read mine. No, I'm going to read after the break. We need to get up and move around. And Monica also posted that Dana Goya will be with us next April for Poetry Month. And he was recently the Poet Laureate of California. So we look forward to that. So I'm going to put on the music and get up and move around, get something to eat or something like that. I'm wondering if you heard the music. Did anyone hear that music?
A little
You
bit.
just heard some of it.
Okay. Well, this was my first exploration with this. And so I believe I found out I was muted. So therefore, you didn't hear it, and I was enjoying it thoroughly.
Well, we're glad you enjoyed it.
We heard a minute or two.
Oh, heck. Oh, and it's such a wonderful, I put it in the chat. It's Anderson Peterson, and the song is All the Poets I Have Known from his album.
Aw, thank you.
After all these years. And perhaps if there's time at the end, I'll close out the program so you can hear it, because it's a lovely song. All right.
Aw, that sounds so nice. Thank you.
Well, now I know. Now I know something new. Every day there's something more to figure out. As people are coming back, I see people are coming back in. What we'll do next is I'll share from my book that's come out, Raven Braids the Wind. And after that, we'll start sharing. Thank you. And then we'll hear from each of you. So I look forward to that. So Kevin already showed my book. There we go. And then I'll say that Manzanita Writers Press authors will be at the Calaveras County Fair all 4 days. We'll have a table there. Authors will be there, and there'll be an activity, a poetry activity for children. So if you can come to the fair at any time, we'll be there from 10 to 10. When I heard the time frame, I was like, oh gosh, 10 to 10. I think I'll bring a cot to take a nap. Anyway, okay, Raven Braids the Wind. Haiku has a lot to do with nature, but also, so that's how I arranged my book. I was quizzing Gary on my interview the other day saying, how did you arrange your collection? And it took a while for him to describe it because it was a very, interesting process. Mine is very simple. It's by the seasons. So I'm going to read some haiku from April. Rain measured in inches, then feet, as rivers cascade, full of spring. Trees whisper among themselves.
Can't hear you very well, Linda.
You can't?
You suddenly got dim.
Well, let me try something. Is it better now?
Yes.
Shall I start over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I wonder what happened there. Rain measured in inches, then feet, as rivers cascade, full of spring. Trees whisper among themselves, root to root, about spring greens. A red tail hovers, then drops, tail feathers fanned, straight to the ground. The empty pasture where you stood in the morning sun is full of shadows. Wild violas pinch their purple-yellow faces at the end of day. Stillers, jays scream like red-tailed hawks, but I can tell the difference. To understand true red, one need only look at my tulips. Hens chuck and squawk about who is first on the nest. So many eggs. The earth, the entire innocence of the world. Little mole lies on the garden path while the cat hides in bamboo. Weather turns, and still wisteria cascade lavender. Hairy woodpecker taps, searches, then drums a fine rhythm, just to say. Dogwood blossoms open their palm petals as if to pray. I wish to be a beetle deep in the yellow glory of dandelions. I saw the white squirrel and assign it some magical powers. A raven calls, cranky about blackbirds on its tail. Peony blossoms, simple dark pink with golden anthers, accept light. 2 hairs, male and female, box like kangaroos. She's not interested. Each plant stretches its roots, wakes from winter, hungry for longer sunlight. Red tail turns, wheels on the wind, snatches a blackbird from thin air. Thank you. And that was my little chime. So when I've been reading them, when I have to, this is the first public reading I've done of these. So thank you for being my first listeners. But I recall David, the poet David White, reading at a webinar, reading one of his poems. And I had the book in my hand, Still Possible, which is his latest publication. And the last stanza wasn't the same. And he said, for those of you who are have the book in your hand, it's different because this morning I changed the last stanza. So I'm looking at my book now with these poems, and I kind of want to change them too, because even since this happened, it's been evolving, as we all do all the time with our poetry. It just keeps. But each one of those haiku has a backstory with it. So I'm hearing something. I'm not sure what it is. Anyway, a backstory. So when I read it, I'm thinking, oh yes, the hens clucking at each other because they won't go in different spots. They want to all go in the same nest. So they stand in a little line, waiting with their legs crossed, I guess, to have their turn. They just won't lay an egg except in the same nest as everybody else. So each of these haiku is like a diary for me of things in my life and my observations about nature and the world. The other section of my book has senryu, which are a type of haiku that deals with thoughts and feelings. And then the last section is a collection, I think, of over 40 haiku that I wrote in an hour and a half. And they're all questions. I call them questionable haiku. So thank you for listening. And now we're going to open it up to, let's see, we have people who would like to read. And I think we lost a couple people. Well, they may pop back in. But Annie belongs to our Voices of Wisdom group. And she's really, I think she thinks of herself more as a poet than anything else. And so Annie, would you share next, please?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Annie. I started writing poetry kind of as a pandemic activity. So I'm still very new to it. I've enjoyed it, and I've really enjoyed the Voices of Wisdom group that has helped me move along. And I have a couple of poems, but if we're just going to read one, I think I'm going to pick this one. It is maybe a little thematically related to Kevin's, which were just fabulous, but it's also about memory. So it's called Dancing All Night. A bear padded into my dream last night. I stood at the window and watched him on the hill below. He moved slowly, snuffling, nosing around under pines and cedars. The night before, it was a drunken priest visiting in a house across the street. Before that, a celebrity chef sat at my table, played his guitar and sang. I made soup and the moon waltzed across the charcoal sky. Ambient noises of the nursing home leak through my phone. Muffled voices, clattering dishes, someone's blaring TV. Have I told you about the trips we take? Asks my aunt. Thus begins the same conversation we have every day. We go on a little train, she says, to an island. It's not in the ocean, it's more like a lake. Asleep, awake, awake, asleep. Why are my stories called dreams and hers are called dementia? Mine are vague, fuzzy. Hers are as crystalline as her lake, meticulously detailed, nuanced. We went into the water, she continues, but only up to our knees. There's a small hotel and so many restaurants. We danced all night. It's like a fairyland. Many would say she's not all there, and yet, she is the one I could turn to, the one who would have the precise, correct, perfect answer, fleshed out with all the particulars, when I ask, what was that chef doing in my kitchen?
Thank you, Annie. Thank you. And though she says she's just been writing poetry since the pandemic, I think she's doing very well.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Susan Barrich is also a member of Voices of Wisdom, poet, singer, and she sits on the board for Manzanita Writers Press.
Yeah, there you go. That's my introduction. I started writing poetry about 16 years ago. My son was killed in a car crash, my 25-year-old son, and my therapist gave me a David White CD. And I've discovered that poetry is a language that allows us to express things we cannot say any other way. So that's when I started writing poetry. Shoot. I would, you know what? I'm going to read something that I did not write because it's so beautiful. A friend of mine wrote it and sent it the other day. And he lives up in Cazadero, which is where I have a cabin at the Russian River. And he lives out on a ranch. And he wrote this the other night. His name is Jack Berger. A quiet evening in the front of the lodge, the evergreen ridge beyond fading into darkness. Through the bay trees, a soft gray gold sky opens, accepting the darkness. I am spinning away from it all, backwards into an inescapable rotation. Stars begin to sparkle in the infinite darkness, so far away and yet so intimate. They dress me in their countenance, their very existence. I celebrate within them a unity. They are sleeping in my heart, no further away than our singular heartbeat. Halfway around the world from where I sit, there is no sunset. We are huddled in basements halfway around the world. Our homes and everything we had were blown to bits today. Halfway around the world, there is no sunset. We are trapped in rubble. Our children are hungry and crying. Our children are afraid. The exploding bombs shake the floors they sit on. I am not there, but I am there, and it hurts. That's from Jack. Yeah, I thought it was so beautiful. I go, oh.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah.
And I think poets are the people who take daily events, we're living history right now, and make them real, make them, poets aren't afraid to step out and say what it is.
Well, it's the emotion. They go to the emotion.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, that's what it's about. That's what God's about.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see. I am looking for BJ. Where are you?
I'm right here.
Oh, great. And I want to say that BJ's name is Bill Collins. And so when I first met him, I thought, well, that's going to be hard. I'm going to want to call him Billy Collins. But, he is actually part of our Voices of Wisdom over time. And BJ, do you have a poem to share with us today?
I do, Linda. And it's actually about the tragic situations going on in Ukraine right now that just, I feel very badly for the people there, and I wanted to write something about about what they're enduring over there. So here it is. I thought I saw an angel standing in the ruins of a bombed out and burning schoolhouse in Mariupol, Ukraine. There was a woman being removed by stretcher from a bombed maternity hospital who had lost the life of her child and the will or desire to continue her own. Indescribable scenes of the cruel and brutal bombing of civilian housing. All bodies dignified with burial rites in local gardens. I thought I heard an angel singing "The Times They Are A-Changin'," but that was 1963, when missiles were removed from Cuba by Russia, and hope was shining out of every teenage bedroom. So now let us give thanks for Dylan and Emily Lynch. The times they are a-changin', the times they are a-changin'.
I'm going to unmute myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, BJ.
That was perfect to follow.
Literally.
Oopsie. I'm going to try to, as people have popped in, I'm going to, we haven't met you yet, but I'm going to mute you so that poets are reading in order. So that would be great. Okay. When I was working in Amador County this last week at their elementary schools doing a poetry workshop, I was leaving and the teacher said, I had no idea they could write feelings like this. I had no idea. And I said, poetry is the only form of writing that allows even 5-year-olds to express something deep inside of them. There's nothing like it. Anyway, okay, let's see. I'm looking at the board here and I'm trying to kind of go in order of where we were. I think where I'll go next is the Modesto poets. And so the mic is open and we're going to go ahead. So I call them the Modesto poets. They're part of a long, decades-long poetry group called the Licensed Fools. And because there's such an active poetry community in Modesto, it seemed great to invite them and have them here. So I'm just going to go. Are you ready, Karen and Tina? They're down there.
Yes, we're ready.
Okay.
And I'll start. And my poem is an Ars Poetica poem, a poem about poetry.
Tell them what you do. Poetry, introduce yourself.
Tina's telling me to introduce myself.
Well,
So, I'm Karen Baker. That's me. Anyway, I'm going to start my poem. This poem spoke to me before it reached your eyes, your ears. Spoke to me in language I recognized and in which I was fluent. It could only be broadcast. I could not translate. This poem flows now in your perception, in rivers, in eddies, in ways that I cannot know. This poem is a concrete of metaphor, of simile. It stays as it is written until it is read. I lay it aside, you lay it aside. Same words laid aside. It surfaces in a thin volume in the dollar bin in Kensington, in the estate of a friend, in an unexpected reading at the Bark and Dog Grill. It surfaces as itself, as it has always been, a message in a vessel from the ocean of all things, one amongst millions, yet firmly itself.
Thank you, Karen. And Karen is also deeply involved with the Modesto Stanislaus Poetry Center. And she's responsible for bringing in a lot of poets to our community. So thank you, Karen.
Thank you. And here's Tina.
There's Tina, also a licensed fool.
Also a licensed fool, and we're both the original, part of the original Meter Maids group. We've just put out a 30-year anthology for the Meter Maids, and I edited and established a gathering of voices for Stanislaus Connections many years ago, starting with George Rogers, who was a fool, licensed fool, and we were able to get it printed, and he was able to get and read it the day before he passed. So that I thought that was just a wonderful thing that we were able to do. And and the quick story about how I started writing poetry is I had a 4th grade teacher who was way ahead of her time, belongs in this generation. And she asked us to write poems, and then she decided that for some reason to send me next door to the other 4th grade class to read my poem. And so from then on, I kind of worked at poetry, but I've only been able to call myself a poet probably within the last 5 or 10 years. So this is what I have today, to speak to the trees. When you speak to the trees, you utter divine silence. There is neither ritual nor rote spirituality when you speak to the trees. When you speak to the trees, a fairy goddess or animated gnome may be standing by to lead you with a magic wand. When you speak to the trees, you engage in shared intention to prune the wilted and broken from healthy, outstretched boughs. When you speak to the trees, there is no Best By expiration. You are doing free-form spring cleaning when you speak to the trees. For when you speak to the trees, you take cues from your heart. You weave a golden thread of connection when you speak to the trees.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheila Landry is also a licensed fool. And would you like to read a poem, Sheila?
Just got to find my mute button. Okay. I used to write just funny poems, and it seems like in the last, I don't know, 2 years, I've been writing more serious things. But this is one I'd like to share with you. At the dawn of time. Anything which moves or grows is animated by mysterious laws of nature, known by some as God, almighty source of all creation. Our intention to know this thing called God results in a never-ending search for truth and the prolonged pursuit of knowledge. Earthbound human creatures contain sparks from that fire of flickering universal wisdom, which has set all life in motion, ignition at the dawn of time. This thing called God, whose powers motivate the stars and flashes raging rivers to awaiting seas, leaves us in awe and wonder. It is the same in you and me. For those who don't see God as the glorious infinity, who doesn't know but is all knowledge, imagine this. God begins where your imagination can no longer thrive. Oh, that's called At the Dawn of Time. Thank you.
I was busy unmuting. Muting and people. Did you see the dancing figures?
No.
Okay, good. But there were these 2 boys who came in.
Yeah, you just got bombed, Linda.
I did get bombed. And
I
so
think that's what that was.
Yeah.
I put them in the waiting room and they'll be in that purgatory for.
You should put them in the sandbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the waiting room. You gotta bounce them complete.
Yeah, I was told this might happen, and so that wasn't too bad. If they come back, I will send them to a different place in purgatory.
That's right. Do that.
Charles, did you want to share a poem? Are you there, Charles? Kathy? No, they're not there right now. Okay. Let me see. I'm looking for another licensed fool. I have Bonnie and then Gary. Bonnie, would you unmute, please? There we go.
I unmuted. Okay. Just a sec. Let's see. Called Banshee. Let me know if you can't hear me. I'm having a problem with my internet connection. Okay. Civility must rule. In the closet lives a banshee who cries silently on a sunny day. In the night she howls. But it is easy to laugh at the idea of torture on a sunny day. But on the midnight I read this, and the banshee began to howl. Tomorrow I will speak in silence. Banshee burns bridges. Yes, the canyon is too far to drive around, the mountain too high to climb over. There is too much burning of fossil fuel to ever arrive. These fuel thoughts of the past, fuel what needn't be dug up, memories, heartbreak, and general pissed offedness. Oh, Banshee, now rake over the coals. It is now 10 to 1, and the heart is pedestrian, so get a grip. Destroy the art, burn the books, burn the forest, burn the home, burn the brush, burn the memories, and the dead. Banshee, cauterize thyself.
Okay, Bonnie. And how do you really?
I'm sorry, could you hear it?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Let's see. I would like Gary Thomas to read next. And Gary and I were going to do something, weren't we?
We were.
So we do that first because it's really quick.
Okay.
Gary and I started writing conversational haiku and tanka many moons ago. And so we would self-publish our collections, and each one has thousands of haiku in it, just for our own selves. And so Gary's picked out some that we'd share and listen for the conversation. A lot of times we wouldn't even email each other anything except the haiku or tanka. So Gary, let's see, you're starting, aren't you?
No, actually, I think you are.
Here we are.
On page 32, middle of the page, the one from April 22nd, 2002.
Okay.
As her winter coat.
Okay, and then we'll go to the, okay.
Yeah.
As her winter coat falls, my horse stands sniffing, a memory of another pasture, her mare, mother nudging her to run.
Sometimes a good nudge is what's needed to gallop toward the best pastures, the sweetest air, a new spring full of fine chances.
Tethered by my own deceptions, freedom exists a heartbeat away, as far as the half-full moon, close as a step to the door.
Let us step outside and speak of moons filling up with heartbeats and breaths untethered, taking the chance, losing these old lunar blues.
What is left after we speak about each intent? Blues to celebrate, hymns to remember the fine psychology of sunlight.
Saul lies on the couch, says, Doc, it hurts when I wake to waves of my own heat and light. These are my blues. clear intent, and skillful means.
Three-quarter moon, all restless in the windless eve, rest by any means, deliberately stalls, waits, hurts by increments.
Ordinarily restless, I seek the calm coves where doves nest fearless on the black pearl dream beaches, waiting, feeling the new life.
So those are from April, 20 years ago. So Gary, please share one of your poems from your new book, All the Connecting Lights.
Thank you. This poem got started some years ago when I was reading a biography of Pablo Neruda and discovered that he and my mother were born in the same year. So this is called Neruda and My Mother. Neruda and my mother would be 116 today, sharing, I think, a bowl of fresh peaches sprinkled with sugar, strewn with cinnamon, a little milk on top for more comfort. He would understand her smooth skin, her full smile ready to sing an old hymn. She would never fathom his poems or whiskey voice, but would love his Chilean sun and beaches. They could talk of children and the sea, look at old photographs of inner tubes and cousins floating belly up in afternoon rivers, learn magic words like Wichita and Santiago, write them down with the other bits of each other's addresses, and promise to write. And they would, I know, if only Neruda and my mother had met on a cruise in 1924, traveling to Rangoon, Singapore, Batavia, sleeping on deck to duck the heat, feeling the breeze and its gift of salt. Every time the summer sweat coursed down their lips in all the years after, they would remember the salt while they thought of the sweet peaches and vowels reuniting someday. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. And Gary's one of the few poets I know. We've been to many workshops together, and we're given a prompt, and we all write, and then Gary reads a poem that sounds perfectly finished and perfect. I don't know many people who can do that, and that's remarkable. There. I was looking for Charles, but I don't see him there. Diane, are you with us? When I don't see people's faces, I'm not sure if they had to, go somewhere or do something. Diane, are you here? No. Charles, are you here? And Kathy.
Charles had to leave, and I don't have anything, so thank you.
Okay, well, if he comes back, let us know.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let me come to Peter Koppelman. Would you unmute and share your work with us?
Sure. I'm kind of an interloper. I saw this on Facebook. I'm a retired public interest lawyer, and until 4 months ago, I lived in Walnut Creek, and I moved to Annandale, Virginia to help take care of my grandson, my first grandson, who's 8 months old. And I have a book of poetry coming out in this spring. And this is a poem from that book. It's called Worry, after Mary Oliver. I'm a worrier, like Mary Oliver. Even worse, I'm a catastrophizer. It's like worrying on speed, magnified, blown up to the nth degree. I use worrying to fill in the gaps between what I know and what I don't know. The imagination runs rife with speculation. Like when I send out a poem and I get no response. Why not? Many possibilities are benign. He's too busy, or didn't even read it, or he's got his own life to worry about. But those explanations just slide into oblivion. For me, the monsters prevail. He doesn't like it. He's sick of hearing from me. He thinks my poetry is a joke. I'm a pompous ass. He's somehow offended. He doesn't like me. And on it bounces around in my head, raises my blood pressure, ruins my day. Mary Oliver said, Finally, I saw that worrying had come to nothing and gave it up and took my old body and went out into the morning and sang. And gave it up? Not so fast, Mary. You know damn well it's not that easy. So take your old body out into the morning and sing a happy song. Then what? What happens when you come back inside and look at the balance in your checkbook, or can't dig any words out of your brain, or see that bump on your cheek that just won't go away? Come on now, you have a reputation for telling the truth. You don't want to blow it.
That's quite fun.
Peter. And Peter and I had a correspondence. And the only reason, Peter, I asked you who you were was because I thought some high school students were coming in. And so I wanted to be able to meet them and talk with them ahead of time. So that's what happened there. Lila, would you please unmute and read for us? And while she's doing that, Lila and I have known each other through education for a long time.
I can't get, excuse me, but I can't get the picture back.
Oh, now we can see you and we can hear you.
Oh, okay, good. Then I'll just read. I am Lila Osmondson. I published my first, self-published, my first book in 2018. I'm a member of a writing group which helped me publish that first book. I want to read, I've been writing since I was 6 years old.
Okay.
Long time. Okay, this is a haiku. And also what I wrote down, and I forgot to say it. Thank you again, Linda, for putting this all together in celebration of National Poetry Month, which I always celebrate because I love poetry. This haiku came out of the tornado threat of 4/21 in our area from 4 to 7 p.m. Then came the welcome hard rain to our region. Nature's anger raw. Fierce winds sky-whirled fear through humans. Rain pelts carved new path.
Thank you. Do you have another one that was kind of short?
I know. I have a lot of poems, but I didn't want to take up too much of your time.
Okay, my dear. Well, we need to connect. We haven't seen each other in a while, so we need to connect and
would love
get
it.
you into the folds of some of our poetry groups around here too.
Oh yeah, I am in a poetry group, more than one.
Okay.
In Amador County.
Great. Amador has quite a few poets and yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Clive, could you share with us, please? Oh, Clive, you need to unmute because we can't hear you.
Thank you especially for organizing this. We're so hungry for contact, aren't we? And this is only Zoom, but it's better than a blank screen. So I've been around forever. You can find me at matsonpoet.com. And behind me is our beginning magazine and website, Wordswell. If you go to wordswell.xyz, you can see a rough draft of our site. Give us a month to feel coherent, though it's going to take us that long. So I'm going to read a poem in one of the threads that has been available this afternoon on Alzheimer's. My 50-year poetry buddy died in February last year, and although it was his heart that took him, he had Alzheimer's. And he wrote a poem about Alzheimer's, and that's what I'd like to read in his honor. This is by John Page. Alzheimer's Optical. Alzheimer's Optical, a report back. Wake up in the morning, raise my head up high, take a look around. The door to the bathroom is lying on the floor. not hanging on three hinges like it was before. The furniture is clumped in piles all around my bed. 2 upended tables, 4 kitchen chairs, they're lying sideways and their legs are interlocking. And from all the way across the room, my old oak desk still standing tall, my walker collapsed, lying flat across the top. Top center drawer drawn out to within inches of my sleeping head. Somebody was in here messing with me while I was asleep. Now I'm going to have to climb my way across it all to get to where I have to go. Gotta go. 1, 2, 3, up. Soon as my feet touch down, the room swings around. The door flies back to its hinges, and every piece of furniture resumes its place, without a trace that it was ever moved. All this happens without sound, out of sight, far faster than I can fall. Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's. How will you cross my path tomorrow? I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I am afraid.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, everybody. Isn't that an amazing piece?
That's love. It's amazing. And he's speaking right from his own, where he's in it. He's in it. And he's able to describe it. And yeah, amazing. Thank you for sharing, Clive. And it's very nice to meet you. And we will all be able to take a look at Wordspell and be curious to link up with what you're doing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Lisa, are
We
you
have a
here?
tagline. We have a tagline on our Wordswell, which is what John was doing, which was full engagement of body, heart, and mind. Okay, I'm done with all the marketing. Thank you so much.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine. If we don't do it, no one else will. Lisa, are you there? Lisa? I've seen her there, but I don't see her face, so I'm not sure where she is. Okay. And Diane, are you there? I know she said she had trouble with her Wi-Fi. Okay. Did I miss anybody? Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Monica and I want to thank you for joining us on this first annual poetry event. My vision of this is that sometime in the future, it will be an annual event in April sometime where we meet in person and we have workshops and visiting poets and we celebrate and all of you will have a chance to share your poems again. So thank you so much for becoming the first in hopefully many sessions. Monica?
Thank you, everybody. It's been wonderful and just great words. You don't even have to have a meal. I mean, I think I'm fed. I'm fed the good words. I'm not hungry anymore. It's so sad we have to end.
Well, we're a little late.
But we're here till 4.
Well,
I promised you a very strange, painful poem for the elders. I thought maybe I'd just read that real quickly to give you a chuckle. It's called Ow. And this is the first time I'm reading it, so I'm going to try some sound effects here. Ow. So now I'm going to pain you with an ow, ow, ow poem listing all the hurting places. Shoulder, getting older, back, set to crack, bladder sitting sadder, knees sting like bees, neck hurts like heck, sinus, runny nose a minus, wrist at a little twist, feet need healing heat, toes and their aching throes, fingers bent, pain lingers, sciatica needs sympathetica. Migraine, oh, intense pain, earache makes my head shake, lungs wheeze and tongues, teeth rot quickly beneath, gums, here they comes, genitals, such imbeciles, gut-wrenching taut. Have I missed anyone? The throat going crackly rogue? Time to shut down, is it? All quiet on the southern front, traveling backward into forward. Sans teeth, sans lips, sans breath. Then sans pain. Oh, wow. That's my owl poem. Thank you. Oh, gosh.
Oh dear. The only one who really might not get it is Ian. And thank you, Ian, for sticking with us all afternoon.
It's been really great to come and hear from everyone. That was a really good poem just now, Monica. But thank you to everyone. It really was great to be here, and I hope that you keep in touch with me, Linda, and that I can hear when you guys have this in person next time. Maybe I can pay a visit.
That would be wonderful. And we wish you well in your first year of college.
Thank you.
So a lot of times we run overtime, and now we're ahead of time. And so there is a chance if someone would like to read a short poem before we close. Is that a shorty, Susan?
Sure. I didn't read one of mine. I thought it might be. I don't know how short is. This is one that I wrote my husband passed away 2.5 years ago, but this is one that I wrote a very long time before he passed away, just kind of knowing that women live longer than men. It's called Eternity, and this is how I prepared. Sometimes when the moon is full and the candles that illuminate my mind burn brightly so that I cannot find that sweet, dark passage to sleep, I roll over and spoon up close to him and drape my arm across his body where even in his sleep, he clasps it close to his chest. And I trick time at its own game, the one where it says it is a line with a past and a present and a future. And I know that time is a sphere, a fabric that encompasses the two of us here. I know there have been times when I have been without him. And there will be times again when he will leave me utterly alone in this world. I will cry out in my anguish, bring him back to me. How could you take him from me? And there under the full moon, I imagine that he has come back to me in my longing and in my loss. And I feel my arm held tightly under his, and I feel his bare gutsika against my bare lap, and my belly in the small of his back, and my breasts against his smooth skin. And I smile in my gratitude and good fortune that having lost him to time, I find him again in my arms.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you very much. You know what? We've had some powerful poems today, haven't we? Some very powerful poems. And I appreciate that. So I think what I'm going to do is close with the music that I tried to play but didn't happen, because it's such a wonderful song to all of you. It's all the poets I have known, and I put it in the chat by Andrew Peterson. And I found it, and I just thought, it's become an earworm now, and I play it frequently because of the words. It just reminds me of lyrics being poetry, and that could be a whole nother topic. So if you want to stay and listen, great. If not, thank you so much for being with us today.
To all the poets I have known who saw the beauty in the commonplace, saw incarnation in a baby's face, and in a drop of rain, the stars, when there was mud and blood and tears. You sang a song at night to calm our fears. You made a moment last 1,000 years. You are the poets I have known. To all the poets I have known, you built a kingdom out of sea and sand. You conquered all.
I think you muted yourself, Linda.
Spent your soul to see the children fed. You wove your heart in every story you read. Thank God for poets I have known. And you keep on dreaming when the dreams all fade, when friends desert. You're the ones who stay to write the prayers when every prayer been prayed. You are the poets I have known. You turned your tears into a string of pearls. You held your sorrow high to light the world. When I thought I was alone, in every man you saw the boy, the hidden heart the dark could not destroy. Slipped past the dragons with a tale of joy. Thank God for poets I have known. 'Cause you keep on dreaming when the dreams all fade, when friends desert. You're the ones who stay to write the prayers when every prayer been prayed. You walking wounded of my life, who bled compassion in the heat of strife. You stood between my heart and Satan's knife, with just the armor of a song. You are the heroes and the brave, who with a slender pen our passions save, and chisel epitaphs upon the graves of all the poets I have known. So keep on dreaming. Keep on dreaming. So keep on dreaming. Keep on dreaming. Keep on dreaming.
Okay, let's unmute ourselves and give everybody a hand. Unmute.
All right.
Watching you, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Let's do it again next year.
Let's do it again every day.
And Ian gets our badge of bravery.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. It was great to hear from you all.
And I took care of the bombers while we
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Monica.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.